Hello there, I'm Ercole Benvenuto, and I wrote the poem Just Glitching a Bit, which is about feeling an irregular moment in today's society, or as I like to call it, the eye in the storm. Just glitching a bit. I want to feel something like sunsets on the moon, listen to cassette tapes with the stars, maybe drink a cup of tea with Uncle Iro and eat a warm bowl of ramen while watching hayfields wave endlessly to no one but me. Play heavy jukeboxes and light heels so I could dine or hop on I-69 before skateboarding with Bart Simpson as fireflies become fading lights for long nights. Play slow instrumentals for my hopes that I'll never meet Mr. Sky's limits, making it obvious I'm infinity adventures and misunderstood beast waiting for my beauty. Neutralize me and mix me with the stars. Keep me lost with the asteroids, but let me sip on my own Milky Way for new Pangeas and lost boys like me. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alexandra, and this is my flash fiction, My Whippoorwill. It was a dusty autumn day, a swirling golden-brown afternoon, menacing and beautiful like the picture books we read as children. Opening the door, the breeze reminded me to put on a shawl. It didn't used to be necessary. The days used to be a lot sweeter back when the migrating geese didn't fly until November. But I needed it now, and anyway, it was a soft purple. The memory of receiving it from you still made me smile all these years later. So I started my walk out for the mail safe and warm, protected from the flirty wind. It was Sunday, so I could hear the chapel bells ringing over the cries of Blackpoll warblers. The bells were festive, rejoicing like the ones at our old service. The grass leading out to the gate was long overgrown and in need of a haircut, so I resolved to have some young lad take care of it. There are so many lovely people here. I can barely remember when we were all alone. Now there's an HOA. And so many sweet little kids who'd mow over anything I asked of them. You have been so happy to see them all with eyes like violets and voices like house sparrows, as happy as your vegetable garden made you, which I've been struggling to handle. I don't have your green hands. Even the irises you once planted have wilted. And those pesky weeds have expanded, I'm sorry to say so. They've even invaded the dirt path, that unending trail leading out to the newly repainted fence. I had to care for the fence because the birds had overtaken it and laid it to waste. So it's been rebuilt into one brand new baby blue, modern, chic. But the clouds are washing it out, and washing me out as well. I suppose I hadn't anticipated it being so difficult to live without the sun. Now I know why lavender always wilts by October. Finally I reached the mailbox, but silly me, there was nothing inside but some cobwebs. I completely forgot that mail doesn't come on Sunday. I guess I'm writing this down so you know how things are going now that you're gone. Time continues and life moves on, so I should too. But I haven't had to live for myself in such a long time. Maybe I've forgotten how. But dusty autumn days like this make me remember. The migrating birds make me remember. You, my whippoorwill, have flown away, and alone I am glued to the floor.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Keller, and this is my poem. The universe sits on 132nd Street. 1. Smoke, sour things baked into concrete, exhaust, exhaustion, marathon, runners, the man on the corner who sings a quiet sort of country while his friend, lover, coaxes conversation out of a beat-up purple violin. I heard one of the men talk the other day about a good place to bury their dog, Marigold, who he kicked off a bridge into the Columbia River because he could see the flowers blooming through his eyelids, but not the one right in front of him. 2. In the summer, the skin off scraped knees and puddled popsicle corpses coat the concrete, burning and boiling in a hot, sticky stew. Sugar, blood, ants. Ants do not have lungs, they breathe through holes in the sides of their bodies. Cigarette butts, a lonely flip-flop, foam creased with sun and marker scribbles. I watch my sister's soccer ball bounce off my chest like how I thought these summers would go. Her laughter reflects off the crushed aluminum clogging the storm drains, trapping the street in a hot air dome. 3. Sometimes I think we're all underwater, or if the sky was the ground, we'd be the right way up. Sometimes there's a kid on the playground with sticky fingers and scraped knees. Sometimes she blows dish soap bubbles that catch the light like a photo for the front page of those crusted airport magazines, and the street is inside, swallowed. Moist air smells of rot and sugar candy till the acid eats through my eyelids and outstretched fingers.
Hi, my name is Holly, and this is my poem, Elegy. I found a dog dead by the lavender on 9th Street. Its joints were bent at weird angles like a pickup had run over it, and I admit I kept walking, left it to decay by the trash cans, dripping bleach and abandonment. Are you angry? There is no other honest way to say it. I passed it again on my way to work, and someone kinder than me had covered its body with a stained towel. A cardboard sign read, "Rest in peace." I wondered if the owner was the one who hid the dog, or if maybe the owner would find it and bury it in their yard of dead loved things. Probably not. The next day, a beggar on Park Ave was selling bundles of dried lavender for 20 cents a piece, and I bought one to take back to my apartment, put it in an empty LaCroix can on the counter. Is there anything else to say? On warm nights, I lay on the sidewalk and surrendered to the concrete. I've only seen the stars once, when the power went out over New York. I don't know if I'll ever see them again. Maybe one day we will stop bleeding in the streets like animals.
My name is Mackenzie Brosser, and this is my short story, The Deal. I sobbed, I begged, I pleaded. It didn't matter. They continued to beat me, 4 of them, kicking me, punching me, beating me, until I finally lay limp. They laughed while I begged, laughed when I curled into myself, doing anything to make it stop. Then it all went away. It was sudden, but I remember the blinding pain, the agony, and then the blissful emptiness. I was no longer there in the body they had so brutally destroyed. I was now watching, as if from a distance, watching as they continued to destroy me long after I had stopped fighting, stopped responding. Then he found me. Not the body I had seemingly abandoned, but whatever was left. My soul, maybe? Whatever I was now, he found me and he offered his hand, his help. I should have known better. The second I took the proffered hand, I found myself in a nightmare, a place that held all the horrors we could fathom on earth, and then ones we couldn't even begin to imagine. And all I could feel was a bone-deep rage. He grinned. This can go 2 different ways. You can suffer here in this place of torture and anger, or you may become one of my realm walkers. Where am I? What is a realm walker? I remember snarling these foolish questions. Somewhere in my head, I knew where I had ended up. I just didn't know how I had ended up there, in hell. He told me that his patience was limited, that I got 1 question before I had to make a decision. Why am I here? I asked. You ended in agony, and now you will stay in agony. Now make a choice, he answered. In hindsight, I know I had asked the wrong question, but my decision seemed clear then. Stay in that nightmare, in that place of desolation, agony, and anger, or become a realm walker. I chose realm walker. Of course, now that I know what that means, it's not the name I would have chosen for the job. He led me up a set of stone stairs, stairs I hadn't seen a moment ago, and shoved me into a room with a threatening-looking woman in it, and left. She grinned at me in her black leather jacket and short, choppy black hair. So you chose realm walker, the woman asked, though it wasn't much of a question. I wasn't down there in that chaotic nightmare anymore. It wasn't much of a choice, was it? It's not like I could stay down there, I snapped. Careful, he doesn't offer that choice to everyone, only the women he views to be worthy. He can revoke the choice he gave you and drag you straight back down those stairs. She didn't sound angry, just matter of fact. I remember asking why he only asked women. Had I just agreed to be some kind of mistress to him? She told me that it was because women had a different concept of honor than men did, that we operated by our own moral code, and that we did not hesitate when we had been pushed to our limits. We'd been taught our whole lives to use everything we could to our advantage in a physical situation. She told me that those instincts made for the best realm walkers. She then thrust a pile of clothes into my arms and shoved me into some kind of room. Change, she demanded. Whatever she had given me was similar to what she was wearing. Black jeans, a tight red shirt, and a black leather jacket. I exited the room and she gave me a grin of approval. Then she turned on her heel and left the room. It had appeared that I was expected to follow, so I did. She led me down corridors into a large room full of every handheld weapon known to man. Pick one, but pick wisely because you won't be able to change your mind. Why do I need a weapon? What exactly have I agreed to? She smirked at me infuriatingly. Just pick one. I remember the moment I saw the twin swords with obsidian handles and some sort of clear stone blade. They seemed to speak to me, so I grabbed them. Interesting choice. Follow me. I followed as she stalked past the other women who grinned maniacally at me. She stalked through more dark corridors until we reached a large set of plain black doors. She motioned for me to go in. I walked in, but she didn't follow me. She simply shut the doors. He was sitting inside the room, sitting on some kind of black, glittering throne. Welcome to the fold, Realm Walker. It's time for your first assignment. I had asked what kind of assignment it was. He smirked and motioned towards the door to the right. He wasn't going to answer. Go through the door, and don't forget the swords. I tried to question him again, but he glared and motioned to the door. I had known it would be bad to push further. I walked through the door and found myself back where I had been murdered, as if no time had passed. I still felt that indescribable rage as the men who had killed me looked at me and laughed. You're too late to stop us from killing her, but we wouldn't mind killing you too. No witnesses and all, you know. No hard feelings, remarked their leader as he stepped forward. And then my rage took over, which is how I came to stand over his body, lying on the ground, my blades in his throat. I watched as the clear stone turned red, as it seemingly absorbed his blood, as I felt a rush of power run through me. His friends lurked back, white as ghosts. I grinned and stalked towards them, blades glowing red in my hands, as they sobbed and begged and pleaded.
Within a sea of yellow, they endure amidst billows of gas on routes feet used to saunter, rising as yellow umbrellas blossom. The promise of rubber firearms, not unlike versatile butterflies fluttering among their monarch counterparts. Meadow bullets ricochet off crumpled walls. Masks conceal boyish youth. The point of no return is never known until retrospect. Trails of murky blood into a sea of crumpled umbrellas. Streets were once paths towards home, now tainted with pepper spray and water jets, metamorphosized into a battlefield. Benjuana, its petals crested upon the flag, a sterile hybrid like Hong Kong. Infertility settles, stills. Branded as rioters, voices taken fugitive, tears being silenced. How can caged birds fly when their wings are clipped? 1898 is the year of giving and trading, a small fishing village reshaped into the center of international trade. Now, Fragrant Harbor is no longer tangible. Rancid tear gas smothers lips. The world watches from afar, history unraveling, recollecting 2019. Once more, the Oriental pearl crushes into fine powder. Fragile umbrellas snap, shackles again bind back upon Hong Kong's heart.
Supper for one. It says here that the garden shall be serving supper at 7 p.m. sharp. That settles it then. I shall dine there tonight. What time is it right now, anyway? By Jove, it's 5:30. I do believe I'm going to be tardy. And we don't want that. B.E. Courtois is never tardy. Now let's see. I've already got my Givenchy jacket, and my gold Rolex is on my wrist. Where are my... Ah yes, my leather Berlutis. How splendid. Now what else do I need? Ah yes, Fifi, my French poodle. She still needs to be picked up from her grooming session. Ah, but supper will be served in just over an hour. What am I to do? It wouldn't be the first time I've left her at the groomer's on her own, and surely it won't be the last. I shall pick her up after my meal. Supper waits for no dog. Now how will I get there? I could take a limousine, but that might come across as too plain. I need something that makes a statement. Ah yes, I have just heard of this new mode of transport. I believe it's pronounced Uber. With a few touches of my finger and boop, a private chauffeur is now on his way to pick me up. How brilliant. I'll bet nobody at the garden has taken an Uber before. Now I must go outside and wait. Oh, how dreadful. What's this? Why is there a minivan approaching me? Oh, that beige gray color is absolutely hideous. Now he's lowering his window? If this peasant dares ask me for my autograph, I swear I'll slap him right through that sad excuse of an automobile. Hey, do you know a guy named B. Courteous? It says I'm supposed to pick him up here. It's pronounced B.E. Courtois, you uncultured swine. Hey man, you're lucky I'm getting paid for this or you'd have a face full of fists right now. Apologies, good sir. I don't know what came over me. However, I have no time for this. Where's my Uber? This is it. I'm Brian. Get in. Oh, how ignorant of me. Of course. Uber uses the most modern, casual approach to driving. How brilliant. Sure, bud. Now get in. As I pull the handle to make my entrance into the Uber, I am once again reminded of the luxury of the modern-day experience. The sticky dashboard, the disgusting scent of cigarettes. Oh, so brilliant. Alright, pal. It says here the destination is half a block away. You sure you need a ride? Are you joking? B.E. Courtois never walks. Whatever you say. And we're off. Alright, we're at the destination. Wow, very efficient. Thank you for truly giving me an enriching experience, Brett. It's Brian. You gonna leave a tip? I don't have time. My reservation is in just under an hour. The garden waits for no man. Dude, we're at an Olive Garden.
My name is Sam Havland. This is my poem, The End of Winter Semester. I like calendars but can never remember what day it is. I get caught up in the sun and the way we wrap around it. My friends like to argue about time and money. One thinks neither exists. The other is only convinced of money. We should bargain, the first says, and I ask if we could bargain for more time. We break icicles from cabin rooftops and sword fight in the middle of the street. Throw it like a javelin. Our track coach was never certified for that event. The spear hit the ground and split in two. The friend who believes in money also thinks the world is flat. Flat but layered, like a cake. Which layer are we on? My friend says the boring one. What I like most about the calendar is the way time snakes across the page. I can see when winter starts, when Caesar dies, when my friends and I will hop on planes and weeks will disappear behind wreathed doorways. I like the perfect square boxes, 7 in a row. Just like there are infinite numbers between 0 and 1, there are infinite me's between today and tomorrow. We buy our time with a lighter and cannolis from the bakery, while watching the sun set on our layered cake, casting jagged stair-step shadows. If time is not linear, deadlines are more like circles, never-ending and irrational. I like to think of the world as a pie. Thank you.
Adelaide Francine Williams. Spinning. She was always spinning. Her hair was so long that the ends brushed the tips of the golden wheat she trampled underfoot as she danced. Sections were cascading from the immaculate updo Mama had crafted, but Mama wouldn't care. She never reprimanded Adelaide. My sister's hair was dark and luscious, more so than the ink that dripped onto my paper during calligraphy practice. Her ringlets upstaged any flowing tail-legged pen, confirmed when Mama would clutch a ruler in one hand and whack my wrists while stroking Adelaide's gleaming mane with the other. The sharp smile Addie never failed to flash me as my skin reddened was the same one she wore in the meadow, white and teeth glaring each time she spun, like a bullet from a Confederate soldier's rifle. Marion Everett Williams. My boy, his little 7-year-old body wasn't inclined to wily overexcitement as it should have been, but his soul seemed to float along, unmoored in a sea of his absolute curiosity, hair as black as the night sky. Mama had liked to proudly tell others that we could see the stars in his eyes to match, while Father complained that he was averse to farm work. but I thought his brain presented like a matrix of clicking gears. Even in the meadow, surrounded by nothing but shining wheat, some taller than him, he would design mesas from the stalks and minuscule rocks buried in the dirt. His thin fingers urged the beetles and ants into his labyrinth, testing them, my own little Daedalus. Though, unlike Daedalus's labyrinth, Marian's subjects always found their way to the exit, the same hands that drew them in, releasing them again. He was scientific, but also managed to conjure compassion for even the tiniest souls. My siblings never wear anything but white now, and the fabric remains unstained, excluding the spatterings of deep crimson that nearly complement the other clothes' starkness. Adelaide, with her flowing dress, cinched at the waist, and Everett sporting fitted trousers and a silken collar shirt, I cannot help but think of how ethereal they appear. Between their gorgeous hair and clothing that practically glows under the blinding summer sun, I cannot pale more in comparison. To an outsider, I probably look more like a stranger than a third sibling. My hair is at odds with the others, the color of the mice that father often smacks with a broom. Dead and brown and ugly. The black dresses and bonnets Mama insists on stuffing me into every day don't help either. I watched them for a while, flattening wheat below my heavy skirt and trying to absorb their happiness, listening to Marian's blithe giggling until I can't stomach it anymore. I climbed to my feet. Each time I tromp through the forest of rippling stalks back toward the cemetery, I hope that Adelaide will follow me, that Marian will follow her lead, but they never do. They never can. I push open the wrought iron gate. Adelaide Francine Williams, beloved daughter. Marian Everett Williams, beloved son. And of me, above ground and unbeloved. They were siblings, too. Their headstones don't acknowledge that, but our parents don't care to acknowledge me. I tuck little periwinkle mayflowers I picked at the foot of Marian's grave. Mama and Father don't visit anymore. I'm not sure if they've given up caring or if they care too much, so upkeep is my responsibility. I've ruined many a dress pulling weeds and smoothing dirt, but I don't mind. I hate the despicable mourning dresses anyways. I brush pollen off Marian's headstone, fallen from the swaying willows above. The smooth stone is cold, cold like his hand, when I found him and Adelaide bled out and shot through their chests, their hearts, their souls. The memory is almost too much, and I gasp, pressing my forehead against the stone. I want to remember them as they were, or maybe I don't want to remember them at all, so why do I see them in the meadow? Blood-stained and unreal. Spirits or delusions? I ponder this each time I'm here, but I never find an answer. My little Marian. I must move on, so I kneel in front of Adelaide's grave instead. It's dirtier than Marian's. I regret this, but I can't help resenting her even in death. I wish I could have loved you more, I whisper, as if her corpse 6 feet below will hear me. Perhaps that's why I prefer them in the meadow, happy and present, not alive, but at least Addie's still spinning. I wish I was with you when the soldiers came. I feel a twinge and instinctively look towards the meadow. I cannot see Marian, the weed obscuring him, though I can see stalks rustling, probably pulled from the ground for May's construction. Adelaide, though, has come to a standstill. She is staring at me. I stare back. She slowly shakes her head, inky hair waving side to side. Before I realize, I'm washing her headstone with my tears and jumping up, swiftly moving out of the cemetery backwards so I can continue to watch my siblings. Her. Adelaide tilts her head as I leave, placing one hand over her heart, covering the bloodstain. I choke and turn, speeding through the weeds, their graves the only tidy section of the cemetery. I should be there with them, but again, I was always the odd one out. When I turn back for the last time, almost returned to the main road, Adelaide has moved all the way to the edge of the meadow. She can't leave, but her expression says she wishes to. She shakes her head once more and presses her other hand to her heart. I don't want to look away now, but I know I must. As I leave them again, their headstones grow smaller, and 2 figures, dressed in white, slowly fade into the landscape in the meadow beyond, remaining forevermore.
Hi, my name is Neva Ensminger Holland, and this is my poem, Please Remind My Mother It's Not My Fault, that my body has betrayed us more times than I have fingers and toes, that we spent the last 4 Valentines in the same dirty linoleum waiting room, that all the open signs were dark on the drive home, that the United States doesn't have universal health care, that I wore thin paper yellow masks to school, that my sister hates how the living room smells like paint thinner when I'm done with the treatment, that when the technician showed us the x-ray on the lab's TV, my lungs were shriveled up and glowing, that I have a resting sad face, that doctors' offices don't have the glossy tabloids with the who wore it best columns in them anymore, that old men don't think it's funny when I get seen in the emergency room before them, that bacteria build up resistance to antibiotics and become unkillable superbugs, that I'm becoming a hypochondriac solely because Google is free and I like staring at pastel infographics about all the grotesque ways it could be worse, that some days I can't ignore the pounding in my skull, that COVID didn't give her the 3 to 4 customary business days notice before killing 600,000 Americans, that her genes were faulty, that now mine are too,